Welcome friends, in this one I'm going to show you symbolically how to add two complex numbers. So the first number is z sub 1 equals x sub 1 plus y sub 1 with the I. That's my first complex number. And then at step 2 here I have z sub 2 equals x sub 2 plus y sub 2i. That's my second complex number. I'm going to show you how to find the sum using just kind of symbolic form, no specific values. Anything that you see in a circle like the 1, that simply means the step number, that's all. So you can keep track of things. So to form the sum, you're going to proceed as follows. You're going to form this quantity at step 3, z sub 1 plus z sub 2. That's going to be equal to x sub 1 plus y sub 1i. And then after that, you're going to add to it x sub 2 plus y sub 2i. So that's what it looks like thus far. At the next stage, you basically just want to gather like terms. So let's carry that out next. It's going to look like the following, in other words. X sub 1 plus y x sub 2, so you gather the real parts, and then you're going to gather the y sub 1i together with the y sub 2i. So again, these are like terms because this one has an I and this one also has an I. The x's are like terms because neither one has an I. And then you can regroup it a little bit more so that it looks like this at the final step, basically. Often you take the x sub 1 plus x sub 2 and you enclose those together inside of parentheses, so it becomes within parentheses x sub 1 plus x sub 2. That is just like a stray mark. It's nothing above my head there. And now look back here at this step. You had y sub 1i plus y sub 2i. Clearly you see that this has an I and this has an I. So what we can do is just factor that I outside of parentheses this way. And then within the parentheses you have y sub 1 plus y sub 2 left over. So this quantity above my head on either side of the plus there is the sum in symbolic form. I'm going to zoom out here a little bit. If you need to pause, look through this work thus far. It's steps 1 through 6 thus far. Good. Now I'm just going to show you how to represent all of this using a picture. So in a picture setup, it's going to look like the following here. Again, I have step numbers. So first what I did is I drew the horizontal axis, which in this context is the real axis. So that's step 7. And at step 8, I basically drew the vertical axis. So I call that IM for imaginary. Then step 9, I decided arbitrarily to begin at the origin and draw the first complex number at step 9 to this point. There's nothing special though about the fact that it's going to that point. It could go to a million other points. And I labeled it as x sub 1 plus y sub 1i. Then somewhere beginning on the origin or from the origin, I drew another complex number, that's step 10 here. And that one I labeled x sub 2 plus y sub 2i. And then to represent the concept of adding them graphically, what you can do is take 10 and make a copy of it. So this is what I did up here. If you look very carefully at step 11, I made a copy of x sub 2 plus y sub 2i. And the way you make the copy counts. So what I mean by that is the following. Look back at the original at step 10 here. That clearly has a particular length and a particular direction. So when you make a copy of that, you move a copy over to the basically 9 right here. And notice that this quantity above my head, as I'm tracing it, it has to have the same length and the same direction as the original back at step 10 when you make that copy. And also you take where, for example, the arrow at 10 begins, so at the origin, and that beginning is matched with the tip of 9. That's important. Now the fact that I moved what I drew at step 10 to the tip of what I drew at step 9 is not really important. I could also take the line, if you like, or the arrow from step 9 and I could move it to the tip of step 10. It makes no difference. Either one will work. However, once you have that worked out, then what you can do as a last move is draw an arrow from the origin over to where I stopped at step 11 basically. And that represents the sum of the two complex numbers. And notice that I labeled this x plus 1 plus x sub 2 within parentheses plus I multiplying y sub 1 plus y sub 2 within parentheses. And that's the sum. Even if you moved the arrow that we drew at step 9 to the tip of what we did at step 10, and if you connected those, it would give you the same final arrow here at step 12. That makes no difference actually. And the reason for that is very simple. It doesn't really matter how you add numbers, right? Because like 5 plus 4 is the same as 4 plus 5, you see? That concept shows up here also. But that's all I want to say here. Let me just zoom out so you can see all of the work from top to bottom. That's useful to get a kind of view of the whole process. Thanks so much for watching. All the steps are numbered if you need to trace them. I'll see you in another video. Please leave a like and subscribe.